The first step is to inform the inhabitants of the building about the information captured by tippers. For that, Bob, the building manager, defines this information through the Internet of Things Resource Registry, or the IRR.
We're building an infrastructure that will enable resource owners to declare the presence of their resources in different spaces, along with the privacy practices associated with these resources. What data they collect, for what purpose, how long they retain that data, to what extent they aggregate or anonymize that data, and to what extent they have settings that they're willing to make available to users.
The IoT Resource Registry enables system administrators to register new IoT resources and modify the descriptions of existing IoT resources such as IoT applications, services, or virtual sensors. First, Bob authenticates with the registry's portal and now proceeds to declare both the resource and the service. Next, he registers the service that will make use of the Wi-Fi location tracking system. He can add a link to allow people to download the app right from their privacy assistant. Bob continues on by registering the resource used by the service. After that, he gives some context information about where the data is collected and who is responsible for it. He's not required to fill out every field, but users will appreciate knowing who is collecting their data. Notice that the interface does not require any programming. Instead, Bob interacts with a predefined set of questions and drop-down menus that enable him to quickly declare his new resource. The process can be interrupted at any time, with the user saving the information that he's entered. Bob can then later come back and resume the process, including modifying entries that he specified earlier. The overall workflow associated with the definition of a new IoT resource is shown at the top of the screen, enabling Bob to visualize his progress and keep track of tasks that he still needs to complete. At a high level, the different steps involved in defining a resource each correspond to a screen. For example, how the data is used, how long it will be retained, who it's shared with, and what settings or controls are made available to the end users, if any. For instance, if Bob's location tracking resource includes an opt-out setting, he can seamlessly specify this setting in the registry. Users, as they later discover Bob's service, will then, via their privacy assistant, be able to request to opt out of location tracking. In practice, this is done using APIs that connect to functionality capable of enforcing these settings. This functionality might be embedded in the resource itself, or can be supported by deploying a policy enforcement gateway in front of the repository used to collect the data. Our architecture supports both of these configurations.
Mary is a professor at UCI's Computer Science Department. Today, she is scheduling the thesis proposal of her PhD student. Mary uses the Noodle application to set up the meeting. She includes information such as the room where it will take place, the time and date, participants, including John, an external member of the CMU, and documents, including a preliminary draft of the thesis. Also, she selects different policies regarding the meeting. For example, the video and audio should be recorded, but the document should only be available for participants. On the day of the thesis proposal, John arrives in DBH. The moment he gets close to the building, his smartphone notifies him about tippers.
Along with this technology, we're building privacy assistants that will reside on people's mobile phones initially, and that will enable users as they roam around to discover relevant registries, query these registries, and find out about resources deployed in these spaces that are collecting data about them.
The Privacy Assistant displays the presence of the location tracking functionality, as well as the location sharing service available to people who are in Bren Hall.
John uses the newly discovered app, Concierge, to find the room where the thesis proposal will take place. For that, he searches the room, and Concierge displays its location on the floor plan. He also gets information associated to the meeting. John follows the directions of Concierge to reach the room. He discovers in Concierge that there is a coffee machine in the floor and decides to grab a coffee on his way. The thesis proposal is about to start in 5 minutes, and Mary wants to know if John is nearby. Concierge also enables residents of the building to find others. Mary uses Concierge to find John. She realizes that he has been in the coffee room for a while now. Mary calls John and tells him that the proposal is about to start, and there is no need to stop at the coffee machine because there is coffee ready for him. John realizes that the information captured by the building can be used to track him. He is not fine with others having access to his precise location, but he wants Mary to know that he is on his way.
John notices through the privacy assistant the availability of an opt-out setting. He's not terribly comfortable making his location available to others on campus and decides to submit an opt-out request via his privacy assistant. The request is forwarded to tippers, and that enforces the new policy.
Mary is still using Concierge to track John. However, Tippers is now taking into account John's privacy preference. So, Concierge shows that John is somewhere in the first floor. John finally reaches the room and the proposal can now start.